This is your Cancer full moon forecast for January 6th, 2023. So we have the moon at 16 degrees of Cancer, and naturally we have the sun at 16 degrees Capricorn. And in this case, we have Mercury retrograde in Capricorn at 17 degrees as well, opposing the moon, the full moon in Cancer. So Capricorn, the sun in Capricorn, and in this case with Mercury. Capricorn is all about the 10th house. Its ruler is Saturn. It is about duty, restriction, responsibility. And Capricorn is the 10th house. It is about our ambition, our goals, and authority. And Cancer. What is Cancer? The Cancer moon is all about our sympathies, our nurturing ability, our kindness. It is a water sign. It is connected with the fourth house of home and family. Now, when you have the moon, the full moon in Cancer, with Mercury opposing Mercury, the communicator, we are going to be really struggling with this need between our sense of sensitivity and nurturing, home and family and security, and our need to communicate our desire for authority or for duty. And that's where this natural opposition comes into play. And of course, the depositor with the sun in Capricorn is, well, Saturn in Aquarius. And of course, the moon in Cancer is in its own sign. Saturn, the depositor of the sun, and in this case, Mercury, and Pluto, the powerhouse, is in very unpredictable, very unique, genius, tech-oriented, future-friendly, humanity-oriented Aquarius. So right now, what is prominent for us are issues connected with that is connected with Aquarius. Although the moon is full in Cancer with the sun and Mercury in Capricorn. And with Mercury meeting up with the sun, our communications will be very prominent, yes, because Mercury is with the very confident sun, but in Capricorn. So on one hand, we want to stick to what we believe is right and wrong. Our sensitivities, we want to be directed at home and family. And that's what we're going to communicate. What our highest ideals, Aquarius depositor, are connected with the cross between the fourth house and the 10th house. And there could be an issue here, especially since both the sun and Mercury by mid-month will meet up with powerhouse Pluto. Our connections or our meanings, our desires are with taking the lead, taking the initiative to express what we believe is right and wrong regarding issues of home and family, that with security, and how that fits in with our life goals, and our responsibility. Also, because we're talking Capricorn here, Capricorn is about hard work. And so when you've got the opposition with the moon, we are going to be at crossroads between that is representative of security, home and family, and our need to be very mindful of our own image and what gives us security. So, this issue of security and home and family and the workplace will all be very prominent now. And also issues because we're talking the Sun and Mercury retrograde and then applying a conjunction mid month with Pluto. We're also talking issues of banking, finance, and the economy. And there could be, especially during mid month, with Mercury and the Sun applying a conjunction in Capricorn, especially around the 20th of uh, January, maybe just before, we are talking possible concerns within our government, within our economy, because Pluto is very deep and it's connected with the eighth house. And there's going to be discussions about transforming our economy or the uh, investments and so on and so forth. That which deals with money, deals with finance, and so on, especially since right now during this Cancer full moon, we have a retrograde Mercury. And with retrograde, it's all about what? It's about going back to the past. And there's going to be a lot of discussion, both publicly and personally, about issues with the past, maybe finance, banking, the economy, also connected with governments and authorities, and trying to correct issues from the past that are affecting us currently. But again, because of this Cancer full moon, it's all about how business, finance, our sense of work ethic and duty affects our security, and finding that balance when you've got this opposition. And this will be the discussion now. What makes us feel secure? Is it money? Is it power? Is it home and family? And so on. And with the depositor of Saturn in Aquarius, it's all about serious discussions about our freedoms, because Saturn is all about freedom and liberation and humanity. And does our sense of freedom and our need to be accepting and our need for our humanity and our friendliness, our tech, yes, you could say that for the future. And all of this discussion, does this make us feel secure? Maybe advancements in the future. Does that make us feel secure? We are going to be talking also about very likely new modes of income and possibly AI and how that's going to connect in with our future and our security. So, yes, tech will be a discussion, but Aquarius is all about liberation, about freedom, how we treat each other. And does that make us feel more secure or more insecure? So, these are all going to be topics during this uh, Cancer full moon with the Capricorn and the Cancer axis. So we've got Venus, the planet of love, in Aquarius, and it will apply a conjunction later on into January with Saturn in Aquarius. And Venus is good in Aquarius, but somewhat like its fellow sign of Capricorn, Venus can be a little chilly in the sign of Aquarius, although it is very connected with that which now Saturn is connected with the depositor of the sun, Mercury, and Pluto as our friendliness, our humanity, all those needs right now connected also with our freedoms. And with Venus there, that will only bring emphasis to all these areas, a certain love for our fellow man and woman, so to speak, the desire to really project into the future. So this kind of like the last chart with the new moon, with the full moon, and starting off 2023 is really going to be very future oriented. And so don't be surprised if we're really attracted to right now a lot of technological advancements. There could be some wonderful connections with technology as far as personal tech is concerned that is of use for our home life, and also connected with medical advancements too right now because of Aquarius's influence, and that can include very unique inventions. So all of this is going to be very highlighted with this connection with both Aquarius and Capricorn, all about looking ahead and our sense of security. Does the sense of having uh, AI, does that make us feel secure, or does it make us feel like we have to make some changes to our technology? Also connected with space travel and so on. And as mentioned, authorities, government, our future, and what gives us that sense of peace of mind and the here and now. And we've got the moon in Cancer applying a trine with Neptune. And that's very sweet because both Cancer and as we can see here, Neptune at 22 degrees are water signs. And so this kind of heightens our sensitivities. Our sensitivities, our compassion for those, especially with Cancer, worldwide sensitivities and compassions to the underdog or people in need now. And that is also hitting home the connection with charities, people that need us to help and aid them and make them feel what? Secure. There's that word again with the Cancer full moon. So this is going to be very, very sensitive, very loving in the aspect between the moon and Neptune in Cancer and Pisces. And now we've got Jupiter at 1 degree, might as well say 2 degrees of Aries because we're at 158. So right now we're going to really be focused again, that theme of the future, but it's more than that because Aries is a self-starter. So it's a lot about how we can put our best foot forward this year, about our personal business, our personal projects. That's all about this year, especially up until May, June with Jupiter and Aries. It's about a lot of personal businesses that will boom right now, a lot of anything connected with business, personal ventures, especially connected with social media and especially connected with this Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius emphasis. It's all about the me, the my, the personal business, personal ventures, and likely this year, if you are thinking along those lines of personal business and ventures, this is the year for it, and you may become very successful. Also, leaders and leadership will become prominent now, especially with this emphasis with Capricorn and Aries. And there's a sweet sextile between 1 degrees, almost 2 degrees of Aries and Venus at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And anytime you have this sextile between earth and water, or in this case, air and fire, that is extremely forward looking and very productive. So we are not only looking to the future, but we are feeling very productive. A lot of good and creative work will be done, especially with the sextile with Venus and Jupiter. And so this is also a very prosperous connection, especially since Venus, the planet of beauty, is hooking up with the planet of prosperity and luck, Jupiter. So yes, good time to start those independent projects because they will be very likely successful in the future. Although, do keep an eye out for Mercury retrograde. So you might want to start some of those projects into mid February or onward. Nonetheless, with Venus in Aquarius, that's a very original, genius, unique position with very generous Jupiter. So we're also personally feeling a little bit generous now, not just in giving, but with Venus, with Jupiter. Not only is this lucky, but we may have an apt to spend a little bit much. But unlike the square right now with Jupiter at 2 degrees of Aries and Venus at 4 degrees of Aquarius, whatever we invest right now, whether it's ourselves or other investments, business, what have you, even partnerships, will not only be very successful, but will also be very richly rewarding for us materially, monetarily, and so on and so forth, especially if you are involved with the arts creatively. That's a very creative aspect with Venus and Jupiter, not only financially, but creatively, and uh, also something that could increase your popularity as well. And we've got here also Mars yet retrograde in Gemini, and that is making a trine as well with Venus in Aquarius. So that adds that sense and that desire to work, especially regarding creative personal ventures. And Mars, like Venus and like Saturn, is in an air sign. So this is a time when we may find that we are very interested in research, anything that is very intellectual, and that may deal with anything that's creative or anything and everything that deals with anything that deals with education, and so on and so forth. Even if Mars, the planet of action, is still retrograde, Venus kind of helps to ease up on that Mars, that Martian action, kind of tempers our need to be impatient. Yes, there's going to be some frustrations there with Mars and Mercury retrograde. Yes, indeed. But with Mars making a trine to Venus and making the sextile to Jupiter, it's also a very productive, lucky influence. This is the time, as mentioned, maybe wait about another month, but if you want to begin something, success would be very beneficial to you now. So it's very creative, very intellectual, good for thinking about going back to school or just having that productive, detached, very intelligent conversation. Yes, indeed. And we still have the North Node and Uranus in Taurus, the South Node in Scorpio. Yes, very sensitive points. And we still have Uranus at 15 degrees of Taurus, also retrograde. And that's very good, but we still have to, although it's an enormously wide square there with Saturn, pretty much has already left the square off with Uranus. Nonetheless, there is just a very wide connection there, and we still have to be leery of conflicts and earth changes, earthquakes, weather related earth uh, conditions, and so on. However, we do have with Mercury and the Sun, even Mercury retrograde, making a sweet trine to Uranus. So that kind of ups this time frame, this environment, atmosphere about the future, because Uranus is the depositor of Aquarius. Well, it's Saturn in Aquarius and Venus, which is all about beauty. So with Uranus, they're even retrograde, making a trine with Mercury and the Sun. That's also heightening all this discussion about the future, tech. It's very grounding with this Earth connection with Capricorn and Taurus. So some of the inventions that may come about now, as aforementioned, are going to be very productive as far as our daily life is concerned, and it kind of brings an awareness to all the practical applications right now. It's the 10th house by the second house, also a very good time for money. However, especially before we get into that conjunction of the Sun and Mercury with powerhouse Pluto mid-month. If you want to invest, this is a good time, but as mentioned, you want to do it before the Mercury and Sun join up with powerhouse Pluto, because then the atmosphere could change just a little bit, and the intensity also revs up a bit with powerhouse Pluto. But in the meantime, with the Sun and yes, retrograde Mercury with Uranus, it's at least a good time to look into what you want to invest in into the new year. And that's where people are thinking about now. As mentioned, it's a very grounding influence regarding banking, real estate, the economy, investments, and so on. So this is also a big deal on our mind right now, as well as the tech, the future, and so on. A great chart to start off the new year of 2023 with the first full moon. So until next time, many, many blessings.